What's up, guys? So I just watched Oppenheimer. I mean, not just watched, I watched it like last week ago. But I have some thoughts that I wanted to put into video format, and that is what you're going to be watching. Can you tell I haven't done this in like a year? While I'll be getting into some spoiler territory, I do want to give just like a sort of like overview for people who just want to know, hey, should I watch this? And my answer is yes, watch it on the biggest screen possible. IMAX would be preferable. Oppenheimer is a super visceral and impactful film about Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist, his life leading up to the making of the atomic bomb in the Manhattan Project, and also the resulting sort of fractures that happen. And yeah, it's great. I think it's going to stand the test of time really well too. Yeah. The ticket price is well worth it with this one. Go see it immediately. I'm talking to you, John. I see you watching this video. Go down to your nearest IMAX. Sorry, I just definitely peaked the audio. But yeah, I keep talking about IMAX, so I might as well go into the theater experience. So they really just hyped it up for this film. Christopher Nolan talks about it all the time, about how IMAX is, he shot it with IMAX cameras and how it is just the best experience, the best way to view this film. And shocker, I agree. Now, I actually haven't been to a lot of IMAX movies. This might be like my second one. I think the first one being Jurassic World 3. A film that totally did not deserve the IMAX treatment. And I even think at that showing, they just like left a row of theater lights on. Like it was just not a great experience. And it made me think, okay, is this what IMAX is? Like, is this what I'm going to experience with Oppenheimer? And thankfully, no. I couldn't imagine seeing this film any other way. I mean, the wide shots of New Mexico down to the intimate scenes, the close-up shots, all of them look absolutely stunning on that huge, gigantic room wide length display. And yeah, I already had a lot of hype going into seeing this movie, but IMAX, just that theater experience just upped it to a new level, and it just really sold the experience for me. It was great. I totally recommend seeing it that way. Next, I kind of want to talk about the first few minutes of the film, which is kind of weird to kind of like pinpoint that and like focus, put it like in a section, but like there was just so much happening even within the first minute of the film. Now, I'll be real, I haven't seen a Nolan film in a long time. The last one I watched was Mementos, maybe like last year, but I haven't seen a lot of his new films. I kind of forgot his style of filmmaking. So yeah, I guess I just expected kind of like a slow start and more of like a quiet film. Especially regarding this subject matter. But, brother, that is not what happens. I mean, I would be confident in saying within the first minute, Nolan juxtaposes at least 3 different events side by side, very quick cutting here, with all the scenes having a very beautiful soundtrack, but soundtrack nonetheless for almost all of the scenes, including the rest of the movie. I would say like 95% of the scenes have some music behind them. And yeah, those choices were very jarring for me, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if it was jarring for the other people in the theater. It's just a very overwhelming introduction to the film, and like I said, I prefer usually less music in my scenes. I like a lot of quiet moments. Now, I do think the fast pacing is something you definitely get used to, or at least that's what happened to me, and I'm sure other people watching will also adjust to that. The music situation still irked me a little bit throughout the film. I respect it definitely as a creative choice because there are silent scenes in the movie. Nolan knows when to leave music out of scenes, when to add it. So I do respect that. Yeah, personally, if I made the film, I wouldn't have done that. But at the same time, I respect it as a director's choice. So take that for what you will. And yeah, other than those few notes, the opening's fantastic. It just is. I mean, Oppenheimer looking at the puddle as raindrops create ripples in the puddle, which is an ongoing visual motif that the film will have, which foreshadows how Oppenheimer's interest in quantum mechanics will eventually turn to nuclear fission and then the atomic bomb and even more, which I will talk about in a bit. It's a really cool scene, to put it plainly. And I also loved how in the beginning of the film, when Oppenheimer's talking and thinking about quantum physics, the film cuts to these extremely visceral images of matter, this microscopic matter, and I believe even the explosions that would come from the atomic bomb with these hellish booms. And it was just, I just thought that was such a cool direction choice to kind of put the viewer in the mindset of Oppenheimer. I thought that was great. And yeah, kind of going to my note with the juxtaposition of events, It's a little hard to understand at first. This film takes a little bit. You got to kind of watch it. There's a lot of stuff. You're not going to get it, the first 5 minutes. But and even though that can be kind of annoying to, I think, a lot of viewers when they have moments of not knowing what is going on, I do think it's definitely intentional. I think just the hecticness of everything, of all these events kind of happening at the same time. They're different in terms of when they take place, but all these things happening, you're watching them as a viewer. It simulates the real hecticness of these events of Oppenheimer's life leading up to and after the Manhattan Project, and all the consequences that will result from the product of the Manhattan Project. I think it's intentional, and also I think it's just a good thing for just good viewer etiquette to just let the filmmaker just tell their story, give them a little bit, because I think that I think usually that ends well, hopefully. But yeah, I love the beginning of this film. Do I sound like a broken record yet? And now I want to talk about the Trinity test scene. So the film has built up to this scene for at least like an hour and a half. I mean, I wasn't fucking keeping time, but a very long time. Clearly, the visceral imagery in the beginning when we would cut to when Oppenheimer was thinking about the bomb, we knew this was going to happen. And wow, just the tension that builds up, not only throughout that whole hour and a half or hour, however long that you're watching up until this point, but also when it gets to the 10-second mark of the detonation timer, and just in Josh Peck almost like hitting the button too early. I thought that was a great touch. My heart was just thumping in and out of my chest, literally. But then the bomb finally detonates, and I guess I didn't know what I was expecting, but I didn't expect what Nolan was going to do. But I adored it anyway. I loved the delay between even the visuals and, of course, the audio blast of the bomb. It mimics the real life qualities of an atomic blast like that, because most viewers are going to expect an instant explosion in their ears. But what happens is just this huge bright white light, this blinding light, and the only thing you can hear is Oppenheimer's gasp. It almost sounds like he's gasping for air, like he's suffocating, and it really holds on that. You get the other scientists views as well, but it really holds on that moment for a pretty long time, and then finally the delay's over, and then you get just hit with that IMAX boom. Fantastic scene. I think that was just, if it wasn't the highlight, then I don't know what was of this film. The tension build up throughout the film up until this point, and then even within the scene, I just thought that was a masterclass in how to build suspense in a film. Hitchcock would be very proud. And now that leads us to everything that happens after the bomb test, when they actually make the bomb. And up until this point, the movie feels very grandiose in highlighting more so the achievement, the possibility of achieving this scientific marvel that is the atomic bomb. Now, of course, there's definitely some splinters of doubt from the scientists, moral doubt, of course, from Oppenheimer himself, in which his reasoning usually kind of falls into, I don't know if we can trust ourselves with the bomb, but I definitely know for sure that the Nazis can't, which, good point. Interesting point, but those Nolan soundtrack backdrops, the wide vistas, definitely encapsulating on the magnitude of this moment. And then the aftermath happens. And at least for myself, I would expect this is where the film really dives into the moral dilemmas of Oppenheimer. And the film does, but just through a very odd lens, which is through the other scientists. The film takes a really interesting transformation at this point, where it goes from first person to third person, which I think is a really cool idea by Nolan. And now, whereas before we were really looking at everything through Oppenheimer's lens, now we see Oppenheimer through other scientists like Strauss, played by Robert Downey Jr. Also, for some reason I totally forgot to write this down in my script, but the acting is phenomenal. Cillian Murphy, amazing. Emily Blunt, amazing. Florence Pugh, amazing. Robert Downey Jr., awesome. And all the other actors. I mean, there's so many big list actors. Great performance. Anyways, back to the video. We see Strauss right from the beginning of the film, where he's giving a testimony to the Senate for, I guess, this atomic science group. I'm sorry, I'm not dumb. I promise you. And you're kind of left wondering what that's all about throughout the movie. And then towards the end of the movie, there's the twist that Strauss leaked Oppenheimer's personal documents, which detailed his interactions with the Communist Party, which, of course, during that time, the Red Scare was a huge thing. And I didn't even think about going into that when I heard about this film, but I thought that was a very interesting choice to kind of get into the political aspects as well of the time period. I thought that was a good choice. And those documents were then leaked to the FBI, which led to the FBI to interrogate Oppenheimer and potentially revoke his access to information about atomic material, which is essentially a way to delegitimize Oppenheimer's views because he didn't think making the hydrogen bomb was a good idea, and Strauss wanted to. And Strauss's motivation to backstab Oppenheimer like this is that Oppenheimer talked bad about me to Einstein, I think. Bro was literally told you're not that guy, and then Rami Malek's character, I mean, I forgot his name, but he just rats him out to the Senate, which leads to Strauss giving this manic talk about how he leaked Oppenheimer's documents because Oppenheimer's a narcissist and that he wanted to feel the guilt that would come from making the bomb. He wanted to become the scientific martyr for the bomb to be put in the history books. And all this drama kind of culminates into the final scene where we finally get to see Oppenheimer and Einstein, their conversation that was hinted at from the very beginning of the film. And wow, what a great final scene. What a great scene to wrap up this final section of the movie and the whole film entirely. Here Einstein kind of, if it wasn't already given to him by everybody else, it was given to Oppenheimer at this point, the badge that, hey, you're the special status of inventing something that will change the world entirely, and only a few humans will ever get that status. Having a one-on-one conversation, two people of that same extremely rare status, one-on-one conversation, and Einstein basically tells them, hey, they're going to lambaste you for this, but give it a decade, give it a few decades, and then they're going to give you awards to try and make it seem like that never happened, but that's not for you. Those rewards aren't for you. It's for their consciousness, which I think was very fascinating and a really interesting point about humanity. And yeah, I thought that was a great final scene to finally bring us back to Oppenheimer after we've been estranged from him for so long. It really felt like that transition emulated how Oppenheimer had the thoughts about the bomb, so we were watching his perspective, but then as soon as he made the bomb and bestowed it to humanity, now it's their time to judge it. It's their time to give their input in how they will use it, how they will view it, which I think is going to go down as one of the best directorial decisions maybe of all time. I mean, hey, it's going to be interesting looking back at this video in even just a year or two to see how my thoughts will solidify. But I do feel pretty certain with that. But yeah, I mean, those are just my thoughts of the things that really hit me the most out of the film. I mean, there's probably a dozen others, but these were just the ones that I wanted to really comment on, or at least the ones that popped up in my brain when writing for this video. Yeah, again, go see it. It's fantastic. I mean, if you've gotten to this far, you've probably seen it, and if you haven't, why did you just spoil yourself? I mean, it's gonna be great no matter what. I'll tell you that. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. I'll probably have a video up about Barbie soon, because I also watched that. Barbenheimer, let's get it. And yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hopefully there will be more videos like this. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. See ya.